a sandwich. If I called a hot dog a sandwich, do you think that you would be fine with it? If not, then why? Let's bust this wide. Mary, Carrie, Kelly, oh my, is it a sandwich? Well, let's decide.
Hey everyone, I am your producer who's still trying to process the addition of unicorns to my Lucky Charms. But while I sort that out, let's sit down for a great big bowl. Order up.
Oh, Matt, it's unnerving when there's a new marshmallow in your Lucky Charms.
It just messes with your brain. Yeah.
It does. Now, when you say Lucky Charms, in your head, do you hear someone singing "They're magically delicious"? Because I do.
Oh yeah, and a terribly badly done Irish accent. They're magically delicious. Like just making my ancestors cringe.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, I think collectively.
And you know what the truth is they're not magically delicious. That's my own Mary Kennedy of the Boston Kennedys. They're not magically delicious. And to be honest, Irish don't put marshmallows in anything. I don't think Ireland even has marshmallows. We have potatoes, but that's, we don't have marshmallows. I don't think we do.
Does Ireland have Lucky Charms? Is the cereal over there?
Well, let me ask our research department myself. Let me check. Look. Let me call my aunt Sadie. Hold on. Let me see. Lucky Charms.
While Mary's doing that, friends, I, of course, am one of your 4 podcast hosts of Order Up. I'm Kelly Zamnikas, and we are joined, of course, by Mary Kennedy and Matt Ardill and Carrie Haim, who is just back in from some field research in America.
It's true.
Carrie, did you get a vibe if the people of upstate New York think cereal is soup?
I did get a vibe. I actually did ask my friend. I went to see my friend Scott Schwartz, who is an actor in the very famous film Christmas Story. He played Flick, the little boy who sticks his tongue to the pole. So I went to go see him, and I mentioned this question, and he was incensed. He was not impressed with me at all. He said, "It is not a soup," very emphatic. I'm still on the fence on this whole topic, but Scott Schwartz very emphatically said, "Care, what are you talking about? It is not a soup because there's milk." And I said, "Excuse me, what about a cream soup, Scott?" And he did pause. He gave pause, but I think he's very, very adamant that it is not a soup. I think it's one of those questions that, you get a strong feeling about, and you have to have an open mind. So I will be calling him later and encouraging him to open up his mind a little bit. Yeah.
Well, I certainly don't I hope we don't end your friendship with this question.
No, we'll get past it. We'll get past it.
You got any updates there, Mary?
I do. I do. Do they sell Lucky Charms in Ireland? Do they sell it? They say they do, but they also ask if Lucky Charms is racist against Irish people. So,
so somebody is like alt-right asking about Lucky Charms.
So they do, but but here's some breaking news. Lucky Charms at one point was banned in Ireland.
Whoa.
What?
So there was a very Irish man who was very, very angry, who decided, no Lucky Charms in me country. No way. Maybe it was my family because we're all very angry. So maybe.
Wow. That is crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Well, so there it is, our research department. Yeah.
That was a fact I was not expecting to hear. But as we do on Order Up, Matt, you provide us with a couple of fun, interesting facts. Do you have any super cereal factoid you want to toss at us today?
Yeah. We're talking about some of these like modern sugary cereals, but before cereal was cereal, we had like a kind of nature cereal, and that was popcorn. Some people credit Chicago's Charles Crater with creating popcorn. He didn't. He created the popcorn popper. there's actual archaeological evidence that shows that popcorn goes back 5,000 years.
Whoa.
And it's known that the American colonists, the Pilgrims, would eat popped corn with some sugar and cream. So, in a way, popcorn was the OC, the original cereal. It's a grain. It's got some milk in there. Like Lucky Charms, it's got some sugar. Now, to Soup's credit, it is actually the older food, but not by as long as you'd think. Archaeological evidence actually shows the first instance of soup consumption being 6,000 BC. So yeah, it's not that much older. Like in the Carl Sagan galactic timeline, it's not that much older than cereal or popcorn cereal. But and the first soup flavor, they were even able to figure it out, was hippopotamus. So yeah, I'm guessing somebody was getting back at the fact that like a family member got eaten by a hippopotamus.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I imagine it tastes like chicken. I don't know.
Probably. That is wild. Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
Now I don't have kids myself, but I'm an aunt. So the next time I'm babysitting my niece and nephew, I'm going to try to do the popcorn cereal thing and tell my brother that it's healthy and
you let us know how that goes, Cal. You let us know.
I'm going to try it myself. I'm not going to wait for a niece or a nephew. I mean, I will pop some corn, throw some cream on it. I will take that one for the team.
And sugar? You're going to throw sugar on there too?
Well, yeah, I mean, any excuse for a vehicle for sugar, yes.
It's kind of like eating kettle corn in a bowl.
Oh.
With some cream. Yeah.
Yeah,
That doesn't sound yummy to me.
It's probably good.
It's probably good. I mean, I would justify having cake for breakfast, but that's a whole other topic.
But would the popcorn with the cream and sugar be considered soup?
That's, well, I don't know.
Maybe today our guest will help us figure this out, along with the 5 questions that we have for him. So it's time, friends. Episode 3. Order up.
Who's our guest, Kelly? Or is it Carrie?
It's Carrie.
It's Carrie, actually.
Who's our guest, Carrie?
I will tell you, Mary. This person is a talented writer, director, and actor. You've seen this wonderful performer at the Second City. And he's been on television on Dan for Mayor, The Ron James Show, and my favorite, Odd Squad. Love that show. He's written for both scripted and unscripted shows, was nominated for a Gemini and a Canadian Screen Award. And if all that wasn't enough, he is a prolific director, and I'll be sending him my picture and resume after this podcast. Please welcome our friend, Paul Bates.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. What a great intro. I've received your resume. Thank you, Carrie. I've added it to the pile, and we'll let you know.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thank you.
Now, Paul, I've got the pleasure of interviewing you today, but we go back to what, the early 90s when I met you?
Yeah, the 90s, definitely.
Wow.
Definitely the early to mid 90s.
Wow, nice. You have not aged a bit. You're kind of Benjamin Button. It's weird.
Yeah, I am aging backwards, emotionally and physically.
It is all good. It is good to see you here. And you, speaking of podcasts, you recently won a big old award for your Dubious Deeds podcast. Ooh. Congratulations on that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was kind of awesome. I didn't expect that at all, but it's nice to, you know how it is with podcasting. It's just nice to know someone listened. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And that was the Canadian Podcast Award and Podcast Awards, rather. And you can check out Paul's podcast, Dubious Book of Famous Deeds. But all that aside, all the cool accolades aside, we have 5 hard-hitting questions for you, Mr. Bates. Are you ready?
I hope so. I've girded myself. I'm ready.
Let us begin. Question number 1. What was the first thing you learned how to cook?
I remember this well. It was a hot dog. When it's like it sounds like it sounds like a bit of a reach to say one cooks a hot dog. But when my mom was ever out of town, my dad was in charge of cooking, and hot dogs were as far as he went. Hot dogs on the barbecue. And so that's what and then eventually I would take over the cooking of the hot dogs on the barbecue. So my dad was off the hook for that as well. Hot dogs. And yet I also, even though I remember learning how to barbecue a hot dog, I did not, like I was one of those university students who didn't know how to live, like feed himself. And I remember having roommates and being like, I'm hungry. I asked my roommates, I was like, and I was like, hey, how do I boil a hot dog? And she was like, I am not telling you. I am not.
Oh my God.
This is not my job. She was like outraged on my mom's behalf, on her own behalf. Anyways, so it would be the hot dog.
I love that. Is there a bit of a second part to that? Is there a certain way you dress your hot dog? Anything you will never put on a hot dog?
Oh, that's a pretty good question. There are things that I have not put on my hot. I don't get very fancy. Like I'm not sure I've ever put a bunch of cheese on my hot dog, or I don't think I've ever put like olives. I don't know if that's a thing.
That is a thing.
Is that a thing?
I've had olives on my hot dog.
Yeah, I haven't, and I tend not to put mustard on as well because I don't like that yellow mustard that you get at ballparks anymore. I just don't like it. So I go mayo and ketchup, some banana peppers.
Interesting.
I throw some pickles on there, maybe. Onions, love onions on my hot dog.
Good
because
call.
I want my mouth to be disgusting.
Well, you had me at ketchup and mayo.
All
You
right.
had me at the ketchup and mayo.
Should have stopped there.
Question number 2. What is a meal that just takes you right back to childhood?
It would be spaghetti bolognese. I'm Irish, but spaghetti
Traditional Irish food, yes.
Yeah, spaghetti with meat sauce was a staple. Here's something that I like to tell my family, like when my son gets picky about food, I'll tell him what it was like in my house, where it was on Mondays. On Sundays it was roast beef. On Mondays it was spaghetti with ground meat in the sauce. On Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays it was roast beef leftovers. On Fridays it was steak, and on Saturdays it was hamburgers. So this is how Irish my family was. It was literally meat and potatoes every single day, except on Mondays we just had the meat and pasta instead of a potato.
But I have a question, Paul. This might be. Can I ask this question, Kelly?
Yes.
Please. I have to. So on Fridays, though, especially during Lent, I'm going down the road here.
Yes.
You're not supposed to eat red meat on Fridays. My grandmother always made pasta and sauce. We was vegetarian Fridays. Yeah. So did you do that during Lent, or did you just say, forget it, I'm eating the meat?
I asked my dad this once. I said, Dad, aren't we supposed to not be eating meat today? And he said, between the wrath of God and the wrath of your mother, I am avoiding the wrath of your mother. That's...
Fair enough.
Very wise. Very wise.
Yeah,
your
that was a
father.
wise. That was a
Wow.
learning moment.
Yes.
Definitely. Most definitely. Well, speaking of husband and wife, our next question number 3, is there a food habit that your lovely wife has that just drives you up the wall?
I think so. And it's this is just a question of taste. So I eat meat, but my wife is vegetarian and our son is vegetarian.
Oh.
And I think that's great. I support it. And the good thing about that is that if I'm at home, I'm typically eating a vegetarian meal, and so
Right.
I feel like I am a little healthier for it.
Yeah.
So, but tofu, tofu is okay. Tempeh I hate, but tofu most of the time I enjoy. But when my wife makes it, it's always marinated in tamari, the soy sauce.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
again, like on its own in small quantities, sure, that's great, but it just bugs the hell out of me. I just can't stand it, and I just say it like I just kind of like I don't know if I say it to her. I think I just kind of mutter it under my breath. There's got to be another way to marinate tofu. I mean, there must be. It's a sponge and it just absorbs
There
whatever
must
you put
be.
in. Why can't we just pour butter all over it?
Oh.
So, but that would be it. I just hate tamari and tofu
Yeah.
together. It's too
Do
salty.
you like soy sauce? Do you like
Yeah,
soy?
soy sauce. I like soy sauce with my sushi.
But okay. Yeah.
It's just I don't know. There's just something about it that's
Yeah.
just like too much.
Mm-hmm.
Too much salty tofu.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that sound appetizing to anyone? Salty tofu.
Ew. I don't like
Sorry,
it.
I'm not trying to be.
I can't do tofu.
No, yeah.
It's a texture thing.
I like
Yeah.
it sometimes
I'm
when it's like this.
allergic.
Like, oh yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, really? Wow.
So
Okay.
it's like I think I've found my.
I eat
people here.
tofu. I instantly look like I am carrying quintuplets. Like I just
Wow.
float like a mofo.
Wow.
Oh my.
We'd be a pair, Kelly, because my throat closes. So
Ew.
you bloat and my throat closes. So
Oh my
we would
gosh,
just
you
be a pair.
guys.
Yeah. But I think salty tofu could be a good name for like a folk band.
Yeah, salty tofu. Yeah. Like playing the folk circuit, the folk festival circuit, salty tofu. And
Or like a
everybody would
really
be into
weird
it,
sketch
too.
comedy group.
Yeah, so yeah,
It's-
now that
yeah.
that does sound
it-
a bit like an improv team name.
Yeah, I was gonna say improv team. Yeah, like
salty
improv
tofu.
Olympics kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's gross.
Salty tofu.
All right. Question number 4 for you, Paul. What was your favorite cereal as a child?
As a child, it went back and forth. There was a time when Lucky Charms was it, and loved all those marshmallows. You're absolutely right. Like marshmallows, that doesn't sound like an Irish thing at all. But it goes back and forth, and I think where I left, when I left cereal behind, Corn Pops was the last one. I still love corn. When I think about cereal, I think about Corn Pops.
Nice.
Love Corn Pops.
Yeah.
Oh, good
Little
call.
round chunks of corn.
I forgot
and
about corn pops.
and
I
they
forgot
taste
about Corn
great
Pops,
in
too.
milk. Oh, Corn Pops are the best. Love it.
Oh, they were
Nice.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally forgot about that cereal.
I'm sure they're still out
hilarious.
there. But it's hard to go back, like as an adult, I bought a
Yeah.
box of it once and I was just like,
It's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah.
This tastes wrong.
So you mentioned leaving cereal behind. So do you not have a favorite breakfast cereal as an adult? It's just like not something you could go to?
It is I for a while I was just eating the little packets of oatmeal that you heat up with hot water. But now lately I'm pretty I don't like if I get a habit for breakfast, I steer away from it very seldom. And almost every morning it's yogurt it's Greek yogurt with some berries, some granola, and so a little bit of protein powder. That I put in there.
That's good.
That's good. That sounds very healthy.
Yeah, I
very
hope it
healthy
is. Yeah,
breakfast.
it's decent. I mean, it's the most decadent granola. It's full of chocolate.
All right.
Yeah,
There it is.
There it is.
Oh, that's awesome. I went to an event the other night. A friend of mine, Eric Bauza, who folks may know his voice. He is the voice of Bugs Bunny.
I'm
but
a
he's
friend of
got
his
a-
as well from way back. Did you know
Yeah,
that?
Eric and I went to college together.
And I worked
nice.
with him at the CN Tower.
Oh,
No
wow.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Look, he was in town the other night. He's got this wonderful series where they dive into cartoon stuff. And in the gift bag, we got Fruit Loops, which I haven't had since.
Oh, Fruit
I don't know
Loops. I
when.
love Fruit Loops. Yes,
Those are
Fruit Loops
good.
were another
It was
one.
so good.
And that's a decent cereal. I'll bet that cereal would hold up. Yeah.
It just it made me feel very good. It really really did. Yeah.
I actually bought. I'm spoiling a Christmas present, but this will come out well past Christmas. But I bought.
I can turn my mic off. I can turn my headphones off if you don't. We don't want to spoil it for me.
No, I got for Heather. There's this fancy cereal that's sugar free.
Oh, yeah.
And high in protein, but tastes like sugary Fruit Loops and
works.
stuff.
It's good.
Yeah, it's like I couldn't tell the difference last time we bought it. So I got her like a 6-pack for Christmas because she loves cereal, and it's like one of those like impulse. At least it's like she can have the impulse food and it's still healthy.
Yeah.
So because she's like, I can't bring cereal into the house. Well, now you can, and so it's like there isn't a way forward if you really feel like you want Fruit Loops and not be eating a bowl of sugar.
And those Fruit Loops or whatever they are, they taste pretty close. Like I've had those ones. They're pretty good.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. I also love that you've bought your wife cereal for Christmas.
This is romance.
We're at that point. It's like, what do we even get each other? I don't know. She's like, can you get me this thing to clean pet snot off of her couch? I'm like, that's a fun present. All right. Like,
she can eat the cereal while she cleans the snot off the couch.
The romance in your house is just amazing.
That's good. All right, let's take this train back. Let's take it back. Paul, our fifth and most important question. Paul Bates, is cereal a soup?
I've thought about this a lot. And you know, when you mentioned talking to Scott, Carrie.
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of like I'm not my answer isn't the same as his, but I felt the same visceral reaction to the question. It's an upsetting question because it's I think it really forces you to I don't know, put a lot of long held beliefs into question, like into doubt. You know, it's like I don't know, it's a very divisive issue. It's and I had to research to go online because at first I was like, no, hell no. And then I was like, I can't think of the reason why not.
Okay.
And, but it just feels wrong. And then, you know, on top of that, like if cereal is soup, what then? What does that mean for everything else that we believe to be true? Is my yogurt soup? Is my yogurt and granola soup? Is that a viscous soup?
It's a stew. Maybe it's a stew.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We're going down the rabbit hole, people.
But so I was like, I need to consult the internet. And I did research, and soup apparently is defined as a liquid with food in it. Like, but some people address the issue of whether or not soup is or cereal is soup, as to whether or not there is meat, fish, or broth in the bowl, and without because even a creamy soup would still have a broth, right?
I agree.
it would have
Interesting.
something, but this is just milk. And so for that reason, I'm going to say cereal is not a soup. It is lacking ingredients, lacking necessary ingredients to be a soup. Right now, it is just two things in a bowl together.
But what about tomato soup?
Okay.
Like, where's the broth there?
Is there no but it's what's that? Just hot, just mushed up tomatoes?
Yeah, it's mushed up tomatoes and water and seasons.
Doesn't sound good when you say it like that.
See, this is not. I don't think we're going to answer this.
And sometimes there's a touch of cream if it's a tomato bisque.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to get back to you. When can I be back on? I don't know. I don't know. This is a tough one. This is a really tough one. Doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel right to call it soup.
The counterpoint then being, is tomato soup?
It's got to be.
Fruit juice?
It's got to be.
So,
but what makes it a soup? The vegetable? There's a vegetable?
Yeah. There's a vegetable. It's liquid.
Yeah.
There's liquid. There's vegetable.
Well, it's a fruit.
Good God.
It's a fruit.
That's technically.
It's a hot fruit juice.
Ew, gosh,
I'm eating potato soup again.
Oh, that's upsetting.
With a side of Lucky Charms.
A hot V8.
Oh my God, this is so distressing. I'm going to need therapy after this episode. Jesus.
So where are you, Paul? Are you still, it's not a soup?
Yeah, I'm still anti-soup. I'm still no soup. I'm on the no soup side. Team no soup.
All right. Well,
Team no soup.
Well, with that answer, Team No Soup is currently in the lead with 3. Mary is holding steady with yes, it is, and Carrie and Matt are on the fence.
This is a divisive issue. It's going to tear the country apart.
It really is.
Yeah.
You're opening a can of worms.
It's going to be a referendum.
And if you add liquid to those worms, it's going to be a soup.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you, Paul, so much for joining us. For listeners at home, if you haven't already yet, please add Dubious Book of Famous Deeds, that podcast, to your audio library. And we'll talk to you again in a few episodes, Paul. I'll text you, see if your opinion's changed.
Yes, I won't stop thinking about this, I promise you. Thanks for having me aboard.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Friends, we're going to be back next time for episode 4. We'll see if we get to the bottom of this bowl. I don't know if we will.
Pandora's bowl.
Pandora's bowl.
Today's kid of the week is 12-year-old Molly. Molly, this is the big question. Is cereal a soup?
No.
Why not?
Because soup is like hot stuff that you cook. And cereal is just milk and grains. It's just 2 things you eat in bowls. They're not the same because they're in a bowl.
Thank you. It seems like you've put a lot of thought into this. Thank you.
Order Up is hosted and produced by Matt Ardill,
Mary Kennedy,
Larry Hayden,
Kelly Zemeckis.
and original music is by Rebecca McDonald.